If you look closely, play back the footage, you can see that shot has a little bit of shakiness. If you switch between last and first frames, you can see it clear. So we don't want that. It will disturb our clean plates and masks we will do here. So we will have to stabilize the footage first. But before doing such specific stabilization, I want to briefly cover the tracking in After Effects for the artists who will do this for the first time in this software. I will put the timestamp for a place in the video where actual tracking for production begins. So without any reason, let's track his tie here. I've just clicked on track motion button while my footage was selected like that. I've automatically opened the layer panel of this layer with the track point, which I can move to the area I want to track. So as in any tracking software, inside rectangle is the texture you track, outside rectangle is the search area. So you select the area, you track forward. Hit stop, tracking stops. You have your keyframes now here, which you can always see by opening the corresponding, effect you've applied to the footage. Usually you don't want to do anything with track points keyframes, you want to apply it to null object. We see how much you are learning by doing simple stuff. The null objects are placeholders in After Effects. There are solids, text, lights, cameras, null object, shape layers, adjustments layers, just like in Photoshop. So let's create a null object. This is a placeholder. You usually want to use it to contain your animation of the tracker or to contain some things you will use for other layers. So let's create this null object here. You see, this just created in the composition the null object. You see, it has nothing on it. It's not like, a solid, which has actual color, alpha, and it's the actual layer, not like a shape layer, It is just a placeholder to which we can apply our track. To apply our track to it, we can choose the motion source inside of our tracker tab like that. We can make sure that the track type is set to transform and the position is selected. As we have one track, we can't have rotation and scale until we have two tracks. We'll edit the target, select the null object, hit OK, and apply X and Y position change to it. Now you can see that we just applied our animation to the null object, and we can link stuff in After Effects. For example, if we have some kind of layer, I don't know, let's create, a solid with any color. So let's assume that we want to attach the solid to this guy and link it to this null object by dragging this pick web parent and link to the null object. So it is now parented to the null object here. And you can see that it has no animation, but it is parented. Like in 3D, you parent objects to other objects in the same way. So this is exactly how you do tracking in After Effects. Now let's save our project. This is the first thing you should do when you start to work. Not on the desktop, but into Work Comp Projects folder. Here I have already it saved, but to be exact, the project name should contain the name of your shot, the name of your current department, and the version of your project. So I will just override it. And now by clicking this button, increment and save, your version will change. And this way you will have multiple versions of your project and you will be a lot more prepared for the crashes of your software, because instead of finding the right autosave, you will have the latest version to open. So usually you want to increment and save when you completed some significant part of the work. For example, if you completed the track, you can increment and save it to another version. So let's complete the tracking. Before doing anything with the footage, you want to degrain it. And you can always use the standard After Effects remove grain effect, but seriously, this is the only tool I have installed, I promise. Reduce noise. Neat Video Reduce Noise is the best denoiser ever. So let's click Prepare and hit Auto Profile. Maybe I can increase this area here a little. Yeah, 1% more of a quality and it works like a charm. You see how great it is comparing to remove grain. Well, maybe remove grain is not so bad, but you see this warning sign here. This means that this effect only supports 8 and 16 bits per channel, and using this effect on 32 bit per channel may reduce color precision. It not may reduce it, it will reduce it. Be sure of it. So this means actually that you should not use the remove grain. You have to use some effect of degraining, like reduce noise, which is 32-bit effect you see here. You should only use 32-bit effects in After Effects when you are working in 32-bit mode. Otherwise it will clamp everything as soon as you apply some effect of lower bit depth. I'm sorry to bring it to you that you have to have it. Well, this is an absolute must, believe me. Most of the times this is like the only third-party tool I use in After Effects. I use no plugins besides of reduce noise. Now that we've degrained the footage, let's pre-comp it to its own composition by hitting Ctrl-Shift-C and moving all attributes. Let's call it with the name of the shot and call it denoised. So now that we have our degraining pre-comped, we can track the degrained footage by tracking this composition. So I will select it and hit track motion, and this will open this layer of a pre-comp inside of my layer panel. If I'm talking too slow to you, you can always speed me up in the YouTube playback settings at the right corner of your player. I will choose some really contrasty area like this leather, for example. And the search area should be really small. So I probably will get away with one track here. There's not much of a rotation anyways. Well, maybe I want to, take some kind of contrasty spots here. Let's see if the guys go inside of the search area. We don't want that. No, they are not. And I will track this texture from start to finish. Alright, done. Here's our shakiness baked into our track. So instead of applying it to the null object, we want to apply it to footage. We want to change this track type to stabilize, hit edit target, and this is the only layer we have here. Apply it to this layer, and now you'll see that this layer has anchor point transformation, which is definitely moving it inside of the composition window, of course, because this is where the transformation is. So to deal with this edge, I think that we gonna go to the very first frame, select our anchor point, Ctrl-C, copy it, disable the animation here, go inside of our pre-comp and paste it on the same first frame onto our footage. And this will move the footage inside of the pre-comp so that we can scale it a little bit here. So let's go on the frame where it's offset on most. I think this is the last frame. We can scale it just a tiny bit like that. So I'm always working in the full resolution, because in the quarter resolution you can't see such details we are looking at, and my fast previews are off. You can set it to adaptive resolution, then it will always change as you do something, and this, I don't know, feels annoying. So I'll go to main comp, and you see that our footage completely fills the frame. Well, this letterboxes doesn't count. They are all under 235 cinema letterboxes here, so we only care about the sides here. So now let's finally begin to extract our foregrounds. Let's do this with masks first of all, because there is a lot of static stuff. We obviously want to extract it with masks, as it will be more precise, and as our footage is stabilized, our masks will not shift, as they will stay with the footage on one place. I probably want to go on the first frame, as everything is more visible here with less smoke. So let's do some organizational stuff before we start doing this. So first I want to name this composition composite. like our main comp, but not like the final main comp from which we will render things with letterbox. I also want to maybe change its start frame to something more comprehensible, like 101, so that if the nasty director decides to add frames before the starting frame, we will have some frames to go back to from the first frame. And let's take our mask tool, shortcut to it is G, and start drawing a mask here on a new solid, so that we will have a separate layer to contain the masks, so that it will be more flexible for us to use it for multiple layers. And while my solid is selected, I will start creating them here like that. So it doesn't matter which color the solid is, we will use the alpha matte probably. And here's a decision to make. We have a very nasty metal tube here that we don't want to take probably because it is too bad looking. Let's try to kind of, cut it out here like that. So if you accidentally hit some place on your composition and you want to go back in editing your mask that is not completed, you first have to select its last point and then take the mask tool, so that you will continue editing it like that. Alright, can see a thing here. I'll imagine it. So this will be one wall. Let's mask some details here as well. So I think that this part of the green screen can also be taken, as it adds a little bit of detail to the wall. I think it will look better with it. So if I take it like that, I think it will be better. As green screen holders, I mean. We will see if I'm right. If I'm not right, we will just disable this mask, switching their mode to none. Then they will not add anything as we select the alpha matte here. So I will now mask this trash can here. Yes, not as easy as it looks. Perfect. I want to mask this wall. So I probably won't take this upper thing here. Anyways, it will be under the letterbox. So like that. Let's go to the last frame, see if our edge matches here. And let's mask this neon thing here as well. Cool. We will use this mask mainly as a core, and the edges I think will be produced with key, so I won't bother myself with very precise feathering of these masks, but we will feather the mask of the asphalt here, and we will do some detail extractions here on the asphalt first. So I don't know if I want to take this thing there. Probably I want to. Let's take it just in case, and if we won't like it, we always can disable the mask. Great, now the mask of the asphalt, kinda matching the sage there, but not at it, because we don't want to take it fully. We want to feather it. So hold your left mouse button as your mouse is on the pen tool, select the feathering tool. You can just cycle between it and the pen with G shortcut and feather the mask, kinda till this shadow of the green screen like that. And this should work. Let's enable our alpha matte, and if you haven't yet, import the matte painting in the work comp assets folder. Beauty pass. Let's put it under our matte painting and select the layer, go to transform, fit to comp. As the 3D artist already nicely positioned it for us, we have it roughly matching there, matching the asphalt. This concludes today's class. The keying class should be uploaded to my channel next week. Subscribe to it to not miss it. This week I'm also doing a live stream where you can chat with me with the topic automatic video editing. And this will be about automation of simple video editing. I edited this all automatically. The link to the project files is always in the description. Check out other videos on my channel. I do some visual effects breakdowns and master classes, some really hardcore stuff, nuke basic training, my show rails, and share my videos with your friends. if you feel like it. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Kirill Pleshakov. I'll see you in the next class. Have a great day.